Homeland Security believes Las Vegas is still a major target of foreign terrorists.
A still classified report prepared for our state shows that one of the most vulnerable targets here is the Union Pacific rail yard downtown.
The I-team has spent weeks testing the security at the rail yard. George Knapp is here with his unsettling report.
Let me show you something that looks kind of innocuous. This is called a switch key, and with this thing I could change the track that a train is on and send it anywhere I want to send it. Now you'd think that a key like this would be locked up tight. It wasn't. The fact that we have it is part of a larger and more disturbing picture about security, or the lack thereof, at the Union Pacific facilities here in the Valley. It is reasonable to assume that terrorists know this as well.
Oh, there's a train stopped right there now. Look at that. There you go. Right in there.
We didn't need a former railroad employee to guide us into the Union Pacific yard, because it isn't hard to do, but we took one along for one of our visits.
There you go. You're right here by the train.
In a dozen incursions at the UP yards over a 3-week period, we never saw closed gates, never saw a security guard, and were never once stopped by anyone from the railroad wondering what we were doing there. No one seemed to mind that we drove right alongside the parked rail cars, or even as we circled Union Pacific's main building again and again.
Nobody's going to. You could drive around this lot for the next hour, too. Nobody's going to say nothing.
Security is not the railroad's strong suit, even though federal inspectors found serious deficiencies in this downtown rail yard 5 years ago. UP has its own police force, but reportedly has 5 or fewer officers for the entire state. A Homeland Security study characterized the Las Vegas rail yard as one of the most critical yet vulnerable facilities in Nevada. Tons of potentially deadly cargo roll through every day, often sitting unguarded on the tracks for hours or days. Explosives, toxic gases, poisons, essentially weapons of mass destruction that have been pre-positioned next to hotels and population centers. Clark County planner Irene Navis has an office that overlooks the yard.
I've actually not seen security in the vicinity of this building.
Ever?
Ever.
Navis worries about the future when highly radioactive nuclear waste might ride the rails through Nevada. But by talking about the risks, are we planting ideas in the heads of terrorists?
They already have the ideas. It's very clear they already have the ideas.
Since the airliner attacks of 9/11, terrorists have turned their attention to trains. Nearly 200 died in the Madrid explosions in 2004. Dozens more in 2005 bombings in London. Al-Qaeda has already monitored websites concerning the vulnerability of nuke waste shipments. The ubiquitous graffiti on a majority of rail cars is a hint of what someone could do with a bomb instead of a paint can.
Look, so if I have a tanker car and it's covered completely with graffiti, what does that tell you about the security? Because clearly if I was a Union Pacific officer and I saw someone spraying my tank car, I would stop it, right? Well, the security can't be too good because all the tanker cars are covered with graffiti.
So if somebody can get there with a spray paint can, they can get there.
If they can get there with a spray paint can, how hard would it be just to put a small improvised explosive device and just attach it to the car? And it could go off in 10 minutes, it could go off in 10 hours.
Union Pacific says it is always working to improve security, that its conductors stay on the lookout for suspicious activity, but that there's no way to secure thousands of miles of track. So what about something as simple as fencing around the most vulnerable spots, like the downtown rail yard?
Again, with the fencing, it's not something that's logistically possible because we have, again, so much of our right-of-way is just open.
Some of them don't even have locks on them.
Railroad employees who requested anonymity told us security around Las Vegas facilities is all but non-existent. We asked one of them the significance of a switch key, something we acquired a month ago, an item no one seems to be searching for. This simple key could create a mega disaster.
Yeah, that's supposed to be one of their most protected things because actually with that little key you can derail a train. All right, you can create a catastrophe that would be greater than maybe the World Trade Center disaster in New York.
According to one study, the derailment of a chlorine tanker downtown could kill 90,000 people here. By the way, on our final visit to the rail yard, we encountered a federal railroad inspector, the only one assigned to cover Nevada. He just happened to be in the neighborhood. Tomorrow, we'll hear from 3 members of Nevada's congressional delegation about what, if anything, is being done to improve safety and security at the UP yards. And if you want to hear more of the railroad's view on all this, we have a long interview on our website.
If it weren't so terrifying, it'd be laughable.
Yeah.
How'd you get that key?
Well, I can't tell you exactly. I don't want to get anyone in any trouble, but it was laying around in a place where it was out in the open, and someone grabbed it, and we got it, and we're going to give it back to him. It'd make a heck of a good souvenir to hang on to, but we're going to give it back to him.
Thank you, George.
All right, thanks, George.
Fascinating.
Food and drug